you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Contiengecy Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me, as always, is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
Well, everybody, it's time for our all End of Thrones podcast.
Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage.
Well, it's an interesting weekend. We have Endgame dropping literally today as we record this, and then Game of Thrones Episode 3 this Sunday. It's going to be a bloodbath all around.
The exciting one, because last week was a tease.
No, it's always a tease. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but in all actuality, we are a Star Wars podcast.
That doesn't talk about Star Wars.
Sometimes we do. Now we're going to be walking through another chapter. What is it, chapter 16 now?
I believe so.
Yeah, 15. Chapter 15 of Dark Tide 1 Onslaught.
So prepared.
Yeah, well, we kind of got knocked off the game. We did a celebration recap last week. Also posted the mashup episode between us and Rebel Watch and Sith Talk and the Rule of Two and Clashing Sabers and Force Toast and all the podcasts.
Yeah, toast.
Well, I actually like their podcasts. If you haven't listened to the Force Toast ladies, definitely listen to them. It's definitely a different take. But
their interaction was pretty funny.
Well, they're very knowledgeable, but they have fun, and they have a little wine, and it makes it a lot different. But what's their tagline? It's like a Star Wars happy hour is what they call it, and it's true. It's actually a really entertaining podcast. They were great during Celebration.
It's funny, during your mashup, I remember one of the hosts from it was giving her theory, and one of the other people was like, "Oh, she's just been drinking." It's like, no, that's actually a really valid theory.
Well, the fact of the matter
she's
is
just goofing around, but she's serious.
Well, the fact of the matter is everybody was drinking during that. So no, they're actually really good. All of them were nice. Nice to see down there, and they all have some really good podcasts. So make sure to check them out. But more on us, all about us today. Yeah, this podcast. So let's do a little Jedi Council real quick. How's the week been?
It has gone by like super fast.
No, that's good.
It's been a good.
Sometimes
week.
Good.
Yeah, really busy at work and just kind of chugging along. Got to go out of town, have some roosters last night.
Ooh, roosters. It's funny.
Whatever, it's good.
No, it's funny because like people go to Roosters for wings, but honestly, whenever I've gone to Roosters, I've just gone for pizza.
I just get the chicken fingers.
I think
I can spin it in 2 sauces and it's better than wings.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think they're like their little meat lovers individual pizza is really good.
I've never had their pizza.
It's actually good. Well, at least the one I went to is good. But
they should all be the same. It's just a chain place.
Well, it should, but that's not exactly true.
You mean all the Pizza Huts don't, have the same quality control?
Oh, no, you should know that because you love their taco pizza, and it's not like everyone sells taco pizzas anymore. So, yeah, this week has gone by pretty fast, which I'm pretty thankful for because I'm just, I'm in a rough spot right now because I had, how many days off of work?
Like 9, right? Or 7, something like that?
Yeah, 7 or 8, something like that.
Borderline enough to contemplate just quitting your job.
Well,
like,
maybe not.
Nice.
I had a lot to do. That was Celebration, but yeah, it was a really nice bit of time off. And I kind of came back to all these issues and
holidays.
Well, I manage a team, and so you have your team, your direct reports, their problems, and then the people that were supposed to be backing you up that didn't, their problems, and so it was kind of a storm coming back into. So I'm glad that I'm a week removed from that. and this week has been a lot easier, I guess. But it's still work. So
It's like, David's a celebration. Let's all screw off for a week. Woo.
well, I mean, the team's not so bad. It's just a lot of the other ancillary stuff that needed done that I would normally do that didn't. But that's life.
Yeah.
So yeah, coming into this week, it's nicer to have kind of an easier week, and I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm probably just taking and doing. I'm probably doing nothing this week.
I'm getting Saturday off, so I plan on doing nothing but hanging my new poster.
Yeah, that's right. That was that came in at Celebration. So I have an artist that I like that I bought some stuff from at WizardCon last year, and that's Brent Woodside. And he and his wife do some really neat artwork. They both do really neat artwork. But he has license from Disney to do his own things. And I bought Luke and R2. That's like a 12 by 18, I think. And then a larger Falcon, which is like, I want to say 18 by 36. And you thought it was cool, so I said, well, when I go to Celebration, because he didn't have the Falcons on the site. I said, when I go to Celebration, I'll find him because I want the other Falcon that I didn't buy because he had two. He had a front-facing one like it was coming at you from episode 7, and then the one that was just sort of like a top view. Mm-hmm. That would have been, I would put that probably episode 5 or 6. So I was like, well, I'm going to get the other one, and I'll pick you up, the one that I have, when I'm there. And, of course, I think we recounted the story on our Celebration recap where I didn't find him until the last flipping
Yeah, because
day.
you didn't realize that it was both of them.
Well, he was not in the art area. Yeah. And that was the thing.
His wife was, correct.
Well, no. The thing is, the table, their table was not in the art area. And then when I finally went around, I did see a woman sitting with other prints. I was like, oh, there's art not in the art area. And I just so happened to notice the Padme print that he did, which had a bunch of cool stuff in it from last year's, or from 2000. I want to say that might have been from the 2017 Celebration. If not, it was just last year's, but whatever. Anyway, I saw it sitting on there. I was like, wait a minute, I know that. And then I was like, oh my God, I bet that's his wife. And then as we were looking for my Falcon, which I got the last one that he had, here he comes. Just pops up out of nowhere like a little freaking smiling leprechaun. It's like, oh, there you are, dude. So anyway, I had to order the one for you. And, he said, oh, yeah. I put my information into like her phone. Well, they ran everything by phone, which is what typically a lot of them do there. But I was like typing in my shipping address. I was like, I feel really weird just like typing this into somebody else's phone. Yeah. But anyway, he said, maybe 2 weeks, and it wound up only being. Yeah, I guess it actually is 2 weeks now.
Has it been?
Well, since Celebration. Been, so he was right on the money. It didn't seem like that long because I'm still feeling kind of like post-Celebration sort of.
Coming off the high still.
Yeah. So I still kind of feel like it hasn't been long at all. But yeah, so you got your print. You need to hang it. I have to hang mine.
I have like 20 things to hang now.
Well, I do have frames. A lot. I've got. I measured them all the other day, so I have them all sitting in my living room, like staring at me. It's like you're gonna hang us, man, or we're just gonna sit
in our
here
home,
forever.
right? Just leaning up against your entertainment center, right?
Exactly. So I've got a lot of that junk to do, but anyway, yeah, that's been the week. I'm looking forward to a really nonchalant kind of weekend. Mm-hmm. I think next weekend I've got some other podcasting engagements with another. I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, I have one coming up for the Unexpected Podcast, Talking Tolkien, with my good buddies Ez and Lane. At some point, I'll be doing that. So it all just flashes, it all comes and goes. So there's that, and then lining up another. I didn't tell you about this, but lining up a May backpacking trip. So I know.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to get together.
Yeah, I know this is kind of your busy season, but I'm gonna do another. I don't know. It might just be a weekend, probably a weekend trip picking a different place and getting on out of there. And we've got I don't think you've seen some of the new quilt yet, have you? We'll take a look at that after the podcast.
I'm pretty sure you showed me.
Okay, I might have.
The all down.
Yeah,
quilt.
might have seen. Okay. So yeah, that's been the week. Let's go ahead and pop on over to HoloNet. So HoloNet is not quite news; it's a meme. You want to explain the meme? Because you were the one who actually, I think I saw it, and then you shared it somewhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I shared it on Contiengecy. I'll double check
Did you?
that real quick. I believe I did.
It
does reference Star Wars, so I mean,
it is.
Did.
I was about to say I didn't remember if you did it in for the podcast page, or if it was just on your personal. Which coincidentally, if you guys haven't liked the Facebook page, make sure. Do it. Make sure you go ahead and do that. He likes to meme it up there. You can also message us on the Facebook page and, let us know about your Star Wars stories. We like hearing about those, and, we'll talk about them a little bit on the podcast if you wish. You can also hit us up at tcplanpodcast@gmail.com if you want to go a little bit more long form. And we also have our Patreon page that just patreon.com/ the Contingency Plan Podcast. And, that's, again, if you just want to support the podcast, great place to do it. We have our Dinner with the Patron series, which is little fun little videos we do. We grab some food, we have a conversation, just kind of like sitting in the kitchen with us, having food. So, Did you find it?
No, I didn't post that on the Contingency Plan. I messed up.
You're bad.
I do have a Game of Clones, though.
Game of Clones. Jeez.
But no, basically, if I remember correctly, the meme.
I'll try and look it up here. I don't think I like saved it, but like I said, I think you share. Of course,
sent it to you.
You're one of those sharing people that like to share 10,000 things a day.
Sharing is care. So not as much as I used to.
No, I know. So we have. It's like a tweet. So in 2019, Marvel will close out a story told across 22 movies with Endgame. Number 2, Game of Thrones will end. Number 3, Star Wars will officially finish its saga after 42 years. Emotional year for nerds everywhere.
Good thing about us Star Wars fans, we still get more content.
Well, that's true. And I mean, there's some rumors of more Game of Thrones style content as well. So really the biggest thing is just killing off the Marvel, but there again, I could see more Marvel movies coming out, not Avengers.
We'll get more. Hopefully, we get the smaller stories. I'd like to see more X-Men now that they're done with that.
Okay, but let's be honest with our friends here. What was the last Marvel superhero movie that you watched? Because I'll tell them.
Guardians 2, I think. No, I'm sorry. Doctor Strange. Guardians
2 is after Strange. I looked this up because that's what I said. But the last one that I watched was Guardians 2, and it was after Strange.
Which it was a good movie. I don't know.
I didn't like Guardians 2 really.
Did you like the first one?
I liked the first one. The second one got a little too.
You didn't like Groot's little.
Well, I'm cool with
Mr. Sunshine dance.
I'm cool with Groot, but the issue was it was just so corny. It got super corny and. Kurt Russell inseminating the universe, and it got hokey.
It was very hammy.
Yeah,
I didn't. Kind of why I liked it.
I didn't really. Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, I get the campy humor of it. I just didn't really like the plot. I didn't really like Doctor Strange either.
I didn't like Doctor Strange.
Which I like Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. I just thought it was a really kind of boring origin story.
It was probably the most boring origin I've seen, honestly. But,
which is too bad.
Oh, we got Shazam. That would be interesting. Got another wizardy guy. That'd be great.
If it's not Shaq, I don't want to hear about it.
Exactly.
Shazam!
No, I don't think. So that came out last spring.
What's that?
Guardians 2, I believe, didn't it? Or was it last winter?
I think it was 2017.
Was it 17? It must have been late in the year then.
Yeah. It was 2017. I'm pretty sure. But I mean, the last Avengers movie I watched was Age of Ultron. I didn't watch Infinity Wars. I didn't watch, Captain America: Civil War, which coincidentally, Captain America got way too whiny for me.
Yeah.
I've always been an Iron Man fan because, Robert Downey Jr. is a baller anyway, but I was like, I'm down with Iron Man.
Yeah.
I like the first Captain America movie. I could even get down with Winter Soldier. After that, I was like, you need to stop crying about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to man up a bit and just like get it. Stop. Just stop. No, I don't want to criticize too much. I just didn't really care for it after
Hashtag Team
that.
Iron Man.
I was with Iron Man. I actually think I got a bigger kick out of supporting characters in those movies than some of the mains, like Black Widow. And I know there are two camps here. You have the camp that says, well, why doesn't Black Widow get a movie? And then you have the other camp, why would Black Widow get a movie? I think she should get a movie.
It would probably be a really good, like, James Bond style movie, honestly.
Not an origin movie. Not an origin movie.
But they'd they would. That's what they'd start with.
But I don't want it. Do like a standalone hour and a half mission movie with just her. Just let her do her thing. Not an origin movie, though. I don't need another origin movie.
She wouldn't. That would be decent for a TV show too, though. They did it with Agent of Shields and Carter. So
do you think
I would have been more interested in her than Carter?
Do you think Scarlett would do TV?
No, she's too big right now for TV.
I would. Yeah, it's not Agent Carter here or anything. I never watched that, but I actually like the character of Agent Carter. I mean, I enjoyed the thought process put behind her. So in game, everybody's gonna die
tonight.
No, I'm not.
I will probably
not tonight.
At some point after I rewatch Dragon Ball, the entire series, and another run through Star Wars, I might sit down and watch all the Marvel movies.
I thought that I would
in all my free time.
Yeah, I thought maybe I would go out this weekend and just watch it. I know what's happened. Okay, I don't.
Oh yeah, Facebook has ruined that. I mean,
well, it's not just. I mean, I know what's happened. There's no spoilers. I already know what's happened to this point because I keep up on it. Mm-hmm. I just don't particularly. It's hard.
It's kind of like someone who watches people play video games. Like,
yeah,
I want to know about the story, but I don't have the time to play it. So
well, but my thing, it's really hard for me to want to go to want to go watch a movie or to want to go watch a new TV show because like I don't know. It has to be really, really, really good for me to want to go watch. And I used to love going to the movie theaters, and I still do. But I'm really tired of crappy content, and I've seen a lot of crappy movies, and I'm just tired of going and seeing crappy movies. I'd rather just buy the DVD. And then, okay, well, this is either good or bad, and then I'm indifferent for it, either way.
See, I just don't like wasting the time. Like, even if it's Netflix, I can't just run through and be like, yeah, I'll try that. I'm like, I have to investigate first to see if it's a halfway decent movie or
it just all depends.
Game,
I am a man of I don't want to say of whims, but I guess it sort of is. I go in sections. So like same with food. I mean, I can eat Cliff Bars for 2 weeks or a month straight, and then I'll never eat another Cliff Bar for another year. I want to read through Lord of the Rings 5 times, but then I won't pick the book back up for another year or something like that. So, it's just ebb and flow. And same thing with movies. I'll look through stuff and I'm like, you know what? It's time to watch this. It's just like, it feels like it's time. And then there'll be another movie that I've had in a wait queue or whatever. And I'll be waiting and I'll be waiting and I'll be waiting. And it's people, why have you watched it? It's like, it's not time yet. Mm-hmm. It's just not time. The Force hasn't guided me. Had to add something Star Wars. We've been going a little. We haven't gone Star Wars.
Okay.
So
I'll literally get into a conversation why I love a movie so much with someone. They're like, "Well, you want to watch him?" Like, no.
Well,
it's like I'll talk about Tombstone with you for an hour, but do you want to watch Tombstone? No, it's not time for Tombstone yet.
Well, you had talked so dang much about Rick and Morty, and I always looked at it as like, no.
From the outside, it doesn't look that good.
No, it's not that. I was just like, no. No, it's not time. It's just not time. But then, a couple weeks ago, I watched all 3 seasons. And, there's some silly stuff, but there's also some funny stuff in there, too. I just like the one where he finally he, quote, gets rid of the dad. And he, after the Szechuan sauce thing, he's like, "It's what it's all about, Morty. Your dad tried to turn me in, and I got rid of him." And like Morty's just on the floor, like, what's going on? And that just made me laugh. So
Did you like the Tiny Planet episode?
Yeah, that was funny. That was
where
funny.
They're stranded because they can't be in Earth anymore.
Yeah, he just walks like a minute to the South Pole and then back to the North. Is
like, this is the problem, guys. We've just cleared out all the deer on the planet.
Yeah, the little pigs
in 1 week.
Yeah,
or pigs. Yeah.
Have you seen? There was a video somebody did. So there was the planet with the screaming sun.
Yeah.
So somebody did a video where they had the screaming cowboy, like the sun comes out, like, ah!
No, I haven't seen that.
You need to look that up because that I actually watched that video before I watched that episode. So I was like, wait a minute, did they mash that up? Did like the show do that? I was like, no. I was kind of disappointed when I watched the show. It's like, oh, the show didn't do that at all.
Did you see my Facebook post about the cowboy recently?
Yeah, the cat.
It's a cat with the cowboy hat screaming a Slipknot song. It's like this is
good.
This is too much internet weirdness, but it's kind of a perfect combo.
For sure. So
I would like the old cowboy man to do it instead, though.
Yeah. Which coincidentally, that guy is a professional musician. Because after that meme came out, well, that song, that YouTube video,
Which the song is garbage, by the way.
well, it is, but apparently the people who did it, they got the guy. I want to say that he's Scottish. He had a band at one point. Did some music. I think he even had like a song that actually, semi-charted. But they were just like, yeah, they just called me in and just told me to scream, so that's what I did, and he did. So that was great. So let's move on a little bit from the Avengers and Marvel.
Trones?
What?
Trones?
What?
Game of Thrones?
What? Yeah, no,
Trones?
I think we should talk about other things. Yeah, let's mix in Game of Thrones. So we're pretty big Game of Thrones fans. I got into it late into the game. I was one of those people that said, it wasn't time. And full disclosure, I don't even know.
Kind of like with Walking Dead when that came out. I didn't watch the first 2 seasons. I binged it.
I didn't like Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I watched the first 2 seasons and they killed my favorite character, and then I was done with it. So I was just like, well, hey, listen, it's literally the apocalypse, okay? Like,
he's the only logical one.
It's the biblical. It's the end of time. You know what? That fat guy shot Carl.
Yep.
So it's just universal karma. Maybe he stooped Rick's wife, but you know what? Rick, by all accounts, was dead. I mean, he was just in a freaking coma for 12 years. I don't know. It was wild, wasn't it? So he was dead. What are you going to do?
All the Walking Dead fans are screaming at you right now.
I don't care.
Timeline.
I don't care. Yeah, I didn't pay attention. I watched the first 2 seasons. I just didn't really like it. I'm not a big zombie guy anyway.
I get it.
Because here's my thing. Here's what I would do. And I don't think I would survive that long, but I would outfit one of those doomsday machines, that you see in like what was that Woody Harrelson zombie movie?
A Hummer. You just get a Hummer.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of that movie.
Zombieland.
Zombieland. Yeah, they're making another one of those. So that would just be me with guns and just
eternal search for Twinkies.
Well, but everybody is so damn scared, and I understand being scared, but it's like, you know what? Let's sack up military style and just mow these guys down, and it would be like the end of Shaun of the Dead, where you just have like your buddy in the back shed playing video games with him or something. I just don't get how it would get that bad. And anyway, if it got that bad,
stupid people,
I would just go on a rampage. And when I saw that it was the end, I'd off myself, bing, bam, boom, out of here. And I'd do it in the head so I wouldn't come back as a zombie.
Or you could just die like Glenn did. Twice.
Whatever. Yeah,
just die twice.
Okay. So anyway, let's talk about Thrones. So we've been through 2 episodes. Let's not do super. We're not going to do super spoily super reviews here because it's not really the point of the podcast. We just want to, as a part of the meme.
All I'll say specifically about an episode. trying to be as PG as possible. That was a really awkward episode because I watched that girl grow up.
Okay. Well, okay. So there's a little bit of, so the first 2 episodes were, in my opinion, fan service. Not in a bad way, but they were. The first episode had everybody kind of come back together. And that was cool because, you know, like Arya hadn't seen Jon in forever. She had been through some stuff. She hadn't seen Gendry in a while. The Hound pops up. I knew you were here, you cold beep. You know, little bit more into Sansa welcoming the Queen and King back to Winterfell and being cold and everybody's still trying to play.
And
you know,
Dragon's on, I'm not going to call you dad.
if there is one thing that irritates me about Game of Thrones is the Game of Thrones.
I know
Literally,
exactly what you mean.
literally, Jon is the only guy in that TV show that says, "You guys need to grow up.
Yep.
We've got bigger crap to fry. I don't want the
None of your titles matter
and
if
here's
we're
the
all
thing.
dead.
He doesn't want the throne. Everybody's like, well, he wants it. And it's like, no, he doesn't want it. He just
doesn't
wants
want
to
you all
defeat
to
the
die.
dead people so that you don't all turn into dead people. So, yeah, that's the only thing that irritates me.
Kind of like our little crew trying to stop the using Vaughn.
Oh, for
And everyone
sure.
ignoring them.
Exactly. God, Princess Leia went to the Senate and they wouldn't listen.
Princess Leia is Jon Snow. So she is Aegon Targaryen.
Yeah, why not?
Princess Leia Targaryen.
Oh, goodness. Rides her dragon into battle. That'd be great. So, yeah, first episode, I'll tell you, I was at Celebration. I think we talked about this maybe, but I was at Celebration. I literally
aired the first episode. Yeah.
did my thing and then got some food and went straight to the hotel and sat down and watched it. I was so angry that it was only an hour long.
I was too.
I thought that everything was going to be an hour and a half. And then, you know, so I was like, okay, well, next episode.
And then it's just 10 minutes longer.
No, it wasn't even that long. It was
an hour and 10 on the second. I thought
okay.
it was only an hour.
Hold
the
on
first.
there. It was tracked as an hour and 18, but the show was not that long. They have all
it
the
never is.
extra
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
So it wasn't an hour and 18
Probably just
minutes.
a longer recap.
It was an hour. So I was a little miffed at that. The next few should be longer, but regardless, the second episode was very cool. I really enjoyed the episode. It was basically, I think, did you see the I'm not a meme guy, but I do like some of them. They're coming. Did you see this one? That one there? Have you?
No, I
Okay.
didn't.
So there was a meme that was going around. I don't know exactly how to describe this, but it was like it's 4 pictures, like the perfect recap for the episode. So it's got, I don't know what this first one is a scene from. I'm not sure, but it's basically
That's just a meme that goes around Facebook.
well, basically it's a dude getting straddled by a woman
On a swing. He's on a swing too.
No, he's just on a mesh fence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's weird. And then you have SpongeBob, Patrick, and
Campfire
Squidward, the
song.
campfire song. And then you have Ellen DeGeneres getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Barack Obama. And then you have Stone Cold Steve Austin drinking milk. So
Which is the best part.
I actually remember that particular moment. They did I did watch wrestling a bit as a kid. This was a little later, but for some reason I remember it. They did like a supermarket, like he attacked a guy in a supermarket and they just destroyed the place and like threw crap everywhere. So anyway, yeah, if you haven't watched the episode and you don't understand the meme that I described, you won't understand. But if you did watch the episode, you'll understand. There was a lot of great.
And I'm going to go ahead and say the milk comment is probably the funniest scene of the entire
Why do they call him
season.
Giant's Bane?
I thought that was going to go in a completely different direction. It was completely different when he started talking.
It's like, you know, he's looking at Brienne. Is like, are you impressed? It's like, I don't know about that.
Don't look at me.
Don't look at me. So yeah, we had some very interesting mashups. You know, like characters that had been fighting against each other and were on the different sides, but this is nothing really new in this episode because like back when we had Barris and Selmy, who originally fought for the Mad King, and then he fights for Robert, and then for Joffrey, and then for Dany, and it's like the allegiances get muddy, and it's just a personal code of honor that keeps him going and trying to better the realm, so to speak. Well, some of them do that. Yeah. Varys, and I always like Barristan. But
did you catch the half cup joke?
Oh yeah, that was good too. Yeah, just a half a cup, and Tyrion
overflows.
Pod the magic rod. Pod the magic rod. Yeah. Pulls him a full cup, just overflows it. It was no, it was so. If I'm, the craziest thing, I have kept wanting to do it. I haven't gone back and rewatched it again. I'm going to do it this weekend before the next episode.
Yeah, I haven't rewatched either of them yet.
Because there was so much in there. So the big campfire moment was Davos, Brienne, Jaime, Tyrion.
Yeah, the knighting ceremony.
Thormund.
Big deal.
Pod. Was Jorah there?
Yes.
I don't remember.
No.
Okay, so no Jorah? That might have been it.
I don't think.
There might have been one more. But anyway, it was just such a mashup of people.
Just the most random cast.
And they're drinking around a fire.
It was like they were making that scene. I'm like, okay, whoever's in the room right now is going to be a part of this scene. And they're all just standing there getting ready. It's like the most random thing.
It was crazy. And then like Arya goes and talks with the Hound, and
which was a pretty good
overwalks Beric and Dondarrion, and she leaves them to go and do a scene that a lot of people thought was strange. Well, it was just awkward.
Very.
I
don't want to talk about it much, but
spoilers.
I didn't even realize that she could do one of those scenes. Like
she's 22 years old.
Like she looks like she's still 14 to me.
She's just small. She's petite, but yeah, she's 22. But when you really look at
how old was she when the show started? Because
it's been 10 years.
Her character was like what, 9 probably when it started.
A little older than that, but I mean, this is season. What season are we on? 8.
Yeah, 8.
So it's basically we'll call it 10 years because they had the lapse, but. So, I mean, 22, she would have conceivably been 12 or 13 when she started. So, of
course, Sansa was pretty young too.
Well,
she was,
see, this is a thing. So, in through the course of the show, you had Dany, who was, I don't remember how old she was, like physically, but the character was, I think, 14 or something in there at the beginning when she was given to Drogo. Sansa was, raped by Ramsay. Obviously young. There
are some hard scenes to go through.
There's a lot, but yeah, it's weird that everybody had this, and I had the same reaction because like the whole thing was going down. I was like, wait a minute, we're not doing Game of Thrones here, are we? I mean, we're just doing Game of Thrones.
I thought we were good because like. You can always go based off the TVMA rating. It's like this one's mild violence, language, and brief nudity. It's like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a real mild episode. Everyone's gonna talk, and it's just gonna be weird and random, and then we're gonna be over.
But
and then that happens.
But the scene makes a lot of sense because they're literally all facing down death,
and that's really what was on everyone's mind.
Yeah. So. It's going to be a bloodbath, though.
It is,
right?
It has to. If it isn't, I'm going to be really pissed.
So let's do an ending thought on this particular
thing. Who's going to die?
Who's going to die? Who do you think? Who do you got? You want to go one for one? You do one, I do one.
I say we could probably list off 3 people we think are going to die.
Just start it off. First one. Who do you think?
I think Tyrion could die. I really do.
I don't think he will, but I could see anything. Brienne's dead.
Yep.
She had too happy a moment.
I think Worm as well because he's starting to talk about leaving.
Agreed. Dead. If Miss Sunday wasn't going into the graveyard, I would say so, or the crypts because there's apparently some escape tunnels, so I don't think she will. But if she wasn't, she'd be dead. But I think Jorah's dead.
Really?
Yep, I think he's dead.
Why's that?
Saving somebody. He'll be dead. Who else you got?
Yeah. It's not that I don't want anyone to die. It's just kind of hard to pick out one based on what's happened this season.
Think of happy moments. Who else had happy moments?
Everyone in that little campfire, honestly. Honestly, if not Brienne, it has to be one of her love interests. So it's got to be either Jaime or the wildling.
I think Jaime's going to survive. I think Thorne's dead.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he's going to try and save her, and they're both going to die.
You think they both will?
Both dead. Gendry, dead.
Oh, yeah, he's going to die. I don't want him to, but he's going to die.
Davos, maybe.
See, I expected him dead a long time ago.
He survives.
Yeah, he really does.
That's my thing.
Because he can't fight.
He's a survivor. He can fight a little bit, but I mean, he's a survivor. But I think if they're feeling really a-hole-ish, dead.
I mean, they had plenty of opportunities in the Battle of the Bastards to kill him off.
True.
So.
Theon, dead. Want to do a little theory that was thrown out to me a couple days ago?
What, that he's going to try and marry Sansa or something right before?
Well, that's completely different. But hey, they'd be.
I think they'd
be a perfect couple. They both been traumatized, and they both clearly care about each other.
Yeah, and there was a very heartwarming scene between them. So.
No theory. So Bran is going into the Godswood to wait for the Night King with Theon and the Ironborn.
Mm-hmm. They're all dead.
Dead, right?
They're all dead.
Hold on. What if Bran has a plan? What if Bran's plan is...
The Bran plan.
Bran the Mighty. Bran's plan is to have Theon stab him through the heart with the dragon glass, making him a walker so that he can warg into the ice dragon and defeat the Night King. And then he can just become the Night King, walk because they're more powerful, and then he can just go, rule beyond the wall as an all-seeing Night King.
Could he do that?
Why the hell not?
That would be pretty...
There's a lot of holes in that, but there was an article that actually Lindsay from Clashing Sabers sent me, and there's holes. But why would you dangle Bran in the Godswood with Theon and the Ironborn?
And he is pushing it pretty heavily. And he has referenced how many of his hosts have already died, so maybe at this point he's come out with a plan.
Maybe.
But then again, that kind of is a hole in his plan, because if the Night King has killed his hosts before, why wasn't he able to absorb him?
My first question at the whole beginning when they created Ice Dragon was, why couldn't Bran just warg into it?
Yeah.
And then I got talking with a few people, and it was like, well, I think you can only warg into living things. It's like, well, so if he becomes a dead thing, can he warg into a dead thing? Then he could just be Bran the Destroyer.
Bran the Undead.
Bran destroys everything. Bran's Night King. Bran's king. He sits on the Iron Throne.
Yes. That would be amazing.
That'd be a Martin ending right there. Jeez.
And then everybody dies.
Why not? Okay, so
do you think Sam will die?
No, I think Sam is the maester that's writing the story.
I do believe that.
I mean, I think
you'll have a time jump to him being old.
Yeah, I think there are people that have kind of went in when I've said that, been, oh, that's a nice ending. It's like, that's not really how it goes. But I mean, but at the end of the day, it is history.
Yeah.
Okay.
What if it was a story that he's telling little Sam?
Yeah.
As he's writing it.
Okay. Let me also just throw in something else here. And this
no. I think
this is just not little Sam.
Okay.
I think this is a show thing, but didn't Gilly look pregnant?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
She was just wearing an extra layer too. But
no, she looked pregnant.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, it's like, maybe that's just the actress, but maybe there's more little Sams. Or
like literally for a second, Samantha's. I was looking at her. I'm like, wait,
she looked
Did
pregnant.
I forget that she's pregnant in the show? Like, I had to go back and check because I did wonder that myself.
I haven't really seen anybody talk about that, but I wondered. So anyway, this isn't a Game of Thrones podcast.
But we've been talking about everything but Star Wars for.
Well, let's
about 40 minutes.
let's do a little wrap up of Holonet and just say, so after 40 years of Star Wars, we're finally getting the end to the quote end of the Skywalker saga, possibly.
The end we've had twice already.
Kind of. We've speculated about Episode 9. We'll probably speculate more about Episode 9 as time goes by. But Star Wars has been a huge piece of sci-fi culture for a long time, obviously. Mm-hmm. You know, when I was a kid, you know, my mom would read to me before I learned how to read, and then, you know, give me all these books and all this book knowledge. And with Dad, we'd watch movies. Mm-hmm. And we watch all these B sci-fi movies and westerns and spaghetti westerns and kung fu. And I always had a love of sci-fi because sci-fi always pushed us forward. It gave us new ideas. Mm-hmm. Here's an entire database in a tablet before tablets were even a thought. Here's a portable phone before portable phones were even a thought. Here's a computer that fits into a room when in the 60s a computer would take up several floors of a building for 5 megabytes.
You know, I forget what it was, but one of the lunar things from the 70s or 80s or whatever it was, the computer that they sent on that to get data has less computing power than a key fob in a new car now.
Yeah.
And that took up an entire shuttle.
Well, we landed on the moon with no more technology than basically key fob.
Yeah.
We have more technology in our phones than they had, but they made it work. Yeah. But you know, with Star Wars, okay, so I always say Star Trek was sort of like the practical progression, the scientific progression.
Star Wars was the fantasy progression.
Star Wars was the spirit, was the soul progression of things. You know, laser swords and blaster bolts and the Force. Yeah. And it brought into mind a fantasy that has been shared by millions over the course of these 40 years. It's important to note how much media has come out, not just movies, but cartoons, TV shows, books, everything imaginable. And it's made us dream. Mm-hmm. And as much as you know, the past 10 years have been fantastic for the nerds, bringing out comic book characters that were essentially lost, to having new fantasy stories take up millions and millions of dollars and bringing up these giant produced shows, i.e. Game of Thrones, and coming up Lord of the Rings series too. So having all this sort of this spiritual fantasy coming out here, this imagination explosion has been great. To see Star Wars, the main saga, the saga that we've been following, and it's tough. Now, granted, we have The Mandalorian, we've got another season of Clone Wars, we've got
potentially
Rebels.
Another trilogy as well.
No, we don't talk
potentially. But I hold out more hope for more Star Wars stories like Solo. That's what I want to see.
Obi-Wan.
I want to see Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan. I want to see little spin-off movies more than another trilogy, personally.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to hope for the future of Star Wars. It's not dying anytime soon.
Which means it's a vastly better universe because all the rest of you are ending, beepers. I'm just kidding. Well, there's a possibility for more Game of Thrones. There's always possibility for more comic book heroes too. But
you can expand any universe, but Star Wars is the most open-ended, in my opinion. Now, let me ask you this: you know, things were different when we were children, obviously, but I remember with our trilogy there being less negative backlash, a lot less people talking trash about it, and again, it was from the lens of a young child.
Young kid. Yeah.
But do you feel like all the negative stuff that's been around this trilogy has diminished your experience with the 4 movies we've gotten recently?
No. And I also want to point you to the exact thing you said, through the lens of a kid. Yeah. I have been fortunate enough to hear from young people, and I've been to some panels, I've been to some shows, I've been to some stuff, and had younger kids come forward. And what's your favorite Star Wars movie? The Last Jedi, Force Awakens. They don't have the preconceived notion that an adult has. And it was the same thing that happened with us when the original trilogy came out. That was our Star Wars. It was amazing
to us, but to the older people, it's like, this is
Jar Jar. Ahmed Best, who played Jar Ar, was drugged through the mud.
But honestly, to an extent,
I'm blanking on the kid Anakin. What was his name? I am totally blanking. He literally wound up in a mental institution because, it was tough for that guy to get through.
Even Hayden wasn't really
well. Hayden Christensen was basically drummed out of Hollywood.
Yeah, it kind of ruined his career. But honestly, for us growing up, like, we didn't hate them.
No,
we might joke about them, but
no,
it's all in good fun. It's not hate.
So let me return to your question. Does it diminish the experience? No, because I'm not a tool.
Yeah. Yeah, because for me, watching Force Awakens...
You guys aren't tools either. I'm just,
obviously, you're here going through the old canon, so obviously you're not. But no, watching Force Awakens for the first time, watching Solo for the first time, I felt like a 9-year-old again. And it's just great.
Yeah,
it's a great time to be a Star Wars fan.
No, it's a great time, and there's a ton more, and we'll talk more about the ton more as we go along. But we've been running for a little bit here, so let's go ahead and pop into our
episode. The next, we should just stop recording and then read the 2 chapters in another episode because we're about at that time.
Why not? Now let's go ahead and jam through this chapter because honestly, it's not a long chapter.
No, very good chapter though.
Yeah, it is cool. So we are getting back with Gavin Darklighter. And
what
the
was
squadron.
Your fond little name you made for him?
No, I was just calling him Darklighter because I don't really like the name Gavin.
Oh, that's right.
I needed a bunch of Gavins. So the last time we left them, they picked up the folks from the Freelancer, right?
They didn't pick them up, but they found remnants.
Them, right?
Yeah.
So. Well, there were a few survivors, but so they were basically going to where that battle was to see if they could find anything. It's your favorite chapter, right?
Yeah. 6 chapters ago. I remember it vividly.
There we go. Okay, so trapped in the cockpit of his X-Wing as it hurtled through hyperspace, Gavin Darklighter had nothing to do but sit and wait. For as long as he could remember, he had never liked having to wait for his fighter to revert to real space. This dislike had increased when he had become Rogue Squadron's commander. Prior to assuming command, I had only had myself to worry about. Now, I have a lot more to concern me. So he kind of goes into a little bit here of when he took over command of Rogue Squadron. Now, who was Rogue Squadron? That was Wedge Antilles and Luke Skywalker and Ticho...
See, I couldn't even figure that one out. Honestly.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not great at that. So, Rogue Squadron wasn't huge, but Biggs. Poor Biggs. Pour one out for Biggs. But they obviously reloaded from time to time. And Gavin was kind of in the secondary rotation there. Yeah. And he had been there for a while. And Wedge and Taichu. Is that what I think Taichu works for me. I like Taichu. Pikachu, gotcha. They essentially saw him as an equal eventually. Mm-hmm. And once they retired, gave him command. And they gave him a little special decoder ring with a little
form of
a Rogue Squadron. So they gave him a ring and took him out on the town. Took him to the bad side, cut his kidneys out.
Got him real drunk.
Wait, that wasn't right. That's not right.
No, that's right.
They had fun. So much fun. But so they turned it over, and then he kind of had to realize, like, oh, this is what command is. He had to rebuild his squadron, and he does.
That's kind of reminiscent of Leia earlier on in the series. thinking about all the senators she had been with just retiring
it's true.
over the years and the new guard coming.
Well, there's a lot of turnover for sure. Right. So he does talk about his command staff, Major Inuri Forge. Maybe.
I don't know. You got that. You got Hobby Clivian. You got a lot of weird names here, so I don't know.
Alin Varth. So Forge had been with the Rogues for as long as he had. Varth came from a military family, good flyer. Where was the next one there?
Have you jumped to page 120 or 121?
I jumped to page 120 because that's what I do.
Just making sure.
Yeah, but anyway, so he has some command structure here, but obviously, getting the whole thing up and running was a little difficult. He also mentions that after the Imperial Remnant was dealt with, there was a lot of lucrative positions for good pilots.
Yeah. And
so
they lost a lot of the crew.
Yeah, so I mean, hey, do you want to just be a Republic pilot, or do you want to go make some money doing some stuff? I'd rather be doing some stuff than sitting there just, because, now let's be honest, the New Republic military
is a joke.
Well, it's not exactly, kind of. So anyway.
No, they're ignoring the using bongs. So
that's true. So he does think about this a little bit, that he wasn't certain if his rogues could have defeated the old rogues.
And I guarantee they couldn't.
Well, I don't think so either.
No chance.
In head-to-head simulation, but he knew that they'd give him a run for their money.
They couldn't even beat pigs.
Oh, let's see here. So, let's see. Admiral Crefe took the Row Roost out towards the rendezvous point.
Still a terrible ship name.
Yeah, the Row Roost. Where the pirate says people were ambushed, launched a probe, but they didn't get any data back. If there isn't something big and amorphous there, it isn't going to see anything. It's not going to be able to report. Okay, so
it can't scan little coral rocks.
Yeah. So they've got to get closer. Let's see here. The fact really left them with no choice but to send in a T-65R reconnaissance X-Wing. While it would collect data in all of the ranges that the probe droid did, the living pilot would be able to direct it towards anything that it felt suspicious. Rogue Squadron was flying along to provide cover. They spent most of the time outbound in the Row Roost, running through simulation battles with the Coral Skippers.
Coral.
So let's see here. I think we can kind of skip a wee bit. Let's go ahead and do, where Catch starts whistling. Started a 10-second countdown to reversion. Gavin settled his right hand on the stick and positioned his left on the throttle lever. He watched the white tunnel of light that extended behind his fighter's nose suddenly develop cracks, then disintegrate into a black field with stars studding it. Rogues report. What was that?
Pretty.
It's not pretty. All the pilots reported in and formed up in their 3 flights. Rogue One.
And I can't.
Rogue Leader.
I just can't stop
Standing
imagining
by.
Star Fox right now.
Rogue One standing by.
Do a barrel roll.
Goodness. Red Fox standing by. The Recon X-Wing, which had the designation Snoop, climbed above the climbed above the squadron's flight plane and slowly deployed the twin sensor pods from the rear of the fighter. The T-65R had no weapons because sensors filled all available space in the craft. But in a fight, the pilot could jettison the pods and end up with a very fast and maneuverable ship that could keep him out of trouble. I think that's true.
No.
Pods deployed. Sensor run commencing now. I copy, Snoop. Without a word being said, the rest of Rogue Squadron fanned out, leaving one flight trailing behind below the recon ship. Two-flight under, I don't want to pronounce that name again.
Inuries.
There you go. Command. Move to starboard and up. And while Major Var's 3 flights moved ahead and down to port. The rogues kept the comm chatter to a minimum so the computers on the Snoop wouldn't have to filter their callouts. So let's see here. He expected to see plenty of wreckage in the distance nearly 10 kilometers away. He did catch sensor blips, but nothing his targeting computers could recognize as being a ship. So they'd gotten in here and expected to see wreckage. Where's the wreckage? What happened? Ketch gave out a low moan.
No, we're not whistling anymore. He's not happy.
I was expecting to make a sound effect, man. Come on, I don't have a soundboard. Whoa. There you go, something like that. The new targets started to scroll up on Gavin's secondary monitor. The half dozen targets were spilling like droplets of water from a cracked cup. Did you like that?
Crack cup.
Appearing from the blips that were all remained of the ships that had been ambushed, Gavin shivered, thinking of times he had seen insects crawling from within corpses.
How many times you see that as a pilot?
That was one of the most random things. So he's got these blips on his radar, and that are apparently spilling like droplets from water from a cracked cup. And Gavin starts thinking about times he'd seen insects crawling from corpses.
Yeah. What'd you do
I
before
think-
you were in Rogue Squadron?
I think
buddy?
Darklighter's metal.
Just a little bit.
I think he's pretty metal.
Maybe he's a member of Deathclaw.
Oh, God. Heads up, rogues. We have contact at 354 Mark 20. S-foils in attack position.
They did the thing with the S-foils. That's so cool.
Snoop, come about in orbit here. Pull in all data you can on the fight, then hyper out if we can't stop them from coming after us. So, what do you think's coming?
Coral.
So, yeah, we've got some coral.
Droplets of coral.
Droplets of water coral, yeah. So we've got Yuz and Vong coming at him. Coral skippers. Now, this was sort of interesting. So they're going to fight him, but they want Snoop to stay behind, watch
Dogg.
the battle. Yes. God. Want Snoop Dogg in the back. They want him to record the battle. Because if things go wrong, again,
For
like
an MTV music video.
they've been doing a lot of simulations, but this is live.
Yeah.
So even if
And no one else in the galaxy knows how to record these
I
battles,
know.
so at least
I
Snoop
know.
can.
Snoop can. Snoop Doggy Dog can. Or Snoop Lion or Snoop whatever the hell he
Doggy
is
Dog.
now.
It's still doggy dog.
Okay. But anyway, so he's ordering him to stay here, watch, but if anything goes bad, just get out. As ordered, lead news. Let's see. The new sensor database package on the X-Wings allowed them to target the coral skippers, but not very easily. Since each ship was grown in a different environment, it had different characteristics. Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
We already know coral, can take on many, shapes and whatever. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they're grown on different planets.
They're not uniform.
They're
right?
grown differently, so sensors are going to have a hard time. I mean, my God, what a tactical advantage you have there.
Because it makes you wonder what kind of mutations you're going to see for different types of fighters.
That's true.
It
And we
could be
kind of
as-
did
it could be
see
as
some of
fast
that.
as all the TIE fighters.
We did kind of see some of that, some of those mutations on the X-Gal planet.
With the one that was left behind.
Yeah. So let's see. Not only the same chemical composition hull, nor the same exact ship. Wide range of variables, which means we have to move in
Closer.
And use the Force.
Well,
All targeting.
I don't think I can use the Force.
offline.
Gavin nudged his
With
throttle,
a name like
throttle forward.
Darklighter,
Darklight.
he should be able to use the Force just because of that.
He's just metal. Yeah. He's metal. Gavin nudged his throttle forward and saw his wingman, Captain
Crawl Neville.
Crawl
Neville.
Some of these names are fantastic, and I'm doing a really bad job
It's
of
probably
pronouncing
like
them.
Neville or something really weird.
Yeah, it could be. Comes to sport wing.
Crawl Neville.
There you Gavin brought his aiming reticle over one of the coral skippers heading towards him, but the computer refused to give him a proton torpedo lock until they hit the 1 kilometer range.
No. You don't get to use your proton torpedoes. No.
Exactly. It went from red to green instantly, accompanied by catch a streak. So Gavin hit the trigger, then pulled up and inverted the craft. The proton torpedo rode.
It roared.
Road. I can't read. An azure flame, which is blue. I don't know why they just didn't say blue. Flame to the target, and the coral skipper made no attempt to evade it. Instead, nearly 10 meters away from the target, the torpedo shrank from a dot of light to something smaller, like a distant star. And the supernova of light Gavin had expected to see never showed up. Quick glance at his secondary monitor did show a gravity
anomaly.
It says gravitic. Gravitic anomaly. What?
I didn't read that the first time.
Gravitic?
What's a gravitic?
Space
I have
tick.
to Google this now. Gravitic.
Well, I'm just going to read it like a normal person.
It sucks your blood in
gravity
space.
or anomaly, whatever. Which confirmed that the coral skipper had somehow created a small black hole which it used to swallow the missile. The energy from that explosion couldn't escape the void, hence the coral skipper remained undamaged. We've seen this before, obviously.
Kind of like how Kirby just absorbs attacks.
That is completely different fandom. Get out of here right now. Being able to generate black holes wasn't the same as having shields, but in some cases could be even more effective. Lead, the black hole idea seems to be right. Do we tip our heads? See, okay, this is the irritating thing here. The Yuz and Vong have already been fought. Mm-hmm. They're just confirming the black hole, the gravimetric deal.
Which is why Snoop is needed to take video.
So annoying.
Yeah.
Yes, Deuce, Rogues, new combat programming. Oh, he's okay. Lead, black hole. Do we tip our hand? Yes, Deuce, Rogues, new combat programming now. Hit a switch, catch, start allocating the power.
Unlimited power.
Unlimited power. Let's see here. So, they've got some new weapons here. He flicked his weapons over to laser fire and quadded them up, so all four would fire at once. As he came into one of the rocky pods, he hit the trigger once and pulsed a red gold burst, flipping page, of energy at the fighter, but another black hole blossomed and swallowed the laser light. Smiling, little smile, Gavin tightened down the auxiliary trigger button beneath his middle finger, just flipping them off, flipping the bird. The X-Wing's lasers began cycling very fast, faster than anything they would have in single fire mode. Each bolt burned with a scarlet intensity, yet was shorter and decidedly less powerful, or less power than those in the first burst he'd fired. As long as he held the auxiliary trigger down in quad mode, the lasers would produce a cloud of shots that wouldn't do much damage, but they were next to impossible to distinguish from heavier bolts. Interesting tactic. Mm-hmm. So, kind of sounds like they're just trying to overload.
Yeah. Which,
so maybe not.
Again, they've already done this. It's kind of just stealing Luke's plan, but that's okay.
So again, they're not trying to pound it with the most powerful shot, but if you overpower it with several, it basically death by 1,000 knives or needles or whatever you want to call it. Death by 1,000,
metal
pokes.
So metal. It's so metal. His idea is so metal.
Gavin Metal Darklighter. Got it. Oh, let's see. His target positioned a void to pick up the scattered shot from his fighter, then another to absorb the damage. What did we decide? Neville Longbottom?
Neville.
Neville Longbottom?
Yeah.
Neville was pumping out. The Coral Skipper, and this is 2-on-1, by the way. The Coral Skipper began some evasive maneuvers, rolling to port and climbing back against the angle of their attack, but it didn't fly as gracefully as the Coral Skippers had in simulation. Interesting. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, I don't know if you did this, but when I was learning to drive, they had that stupid parallel parking. It wasn't parallel parking, it was the cone thing.
Yeah.
So when I was learning to do that, the way I got it set up for me, and I didn't know it at the time, was actually much tighter than the test.
Yeah, same here.
And I didn't know it. I wasn't told, and it was hard. And I think I might have only got it a handful of times because it was like pitch perfect. When I did my driving test, I was like, beep, beep. I was like, oh my God, that was way too easy.
It's like, I must have hit one because I did too.
I did. I was subconscious. I
It's
just
like,
went
I
in and
have way
out.
too much room on this side. I clearly ran them all over.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Okay, and I totally lost my position black hole above its tail, but Gavin noticed that this time the hole was closer to the coral skipper and had a smaller focal point. Some of the splinter shots that were heading long past the craft's nose were bent down by the force of the black hole, but not trapped by it. They struck the coral skipper's nose, burning tiny pits into it.
Little tiny pits.
little tiny pits. The coral skipper shifted to port and started to roll as more flickers scored it. Like how they call them flickers. Flickers. Gavin rolled to port as well and chopped back his throttle, matching his speed to that of the coral skipper. He dropped his crosshairs on its tail, then hit his main trigger and delivered a full-powered quad volley at point-blank range. The quartet of bolts converged on the coral skipper, and only one of them got sucked into the diminishing black hole. The other three burned in the cockpit assembly. They reduced the crystalline canopy to molten stone that melted through the pilot.
So metal.
That could be a metal lyric. Reduce the crystalline canopy to molten stone. Melted through the pilot. So they got through.
Yep.
So the effort of essentially, what do we want to say? Like sensory overload, just all these little tiny micro shots. And then just all of a sudden, as you get in point blank range, they're on the defensive. Pow, pow, pow. Powerful shots. Straight
Pilot
through.
melted.
And this is something that we've known. The coral skippers don't really have shields. They're
They're a rock that floats.
yeah, I mean they're not the strongest ship in the world, but the technology of the quote black hole, the gravimetric disturbance, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, whatever. That is so cool.
Yeah.
It's so overpowered that it can catch you off guard and then they can swarm. Mm-hmm. But now our boys have been training for it, so they're kind of down. Rogue Squadron's got it going. Let's see. Rolled starboard away from the dying ship. Felt a jolt ran through the fighter. We're going to keep going with this gravitic anomaly. Had hit him and tugged at his shields. Cough break. That's how they strip shields off ships. He punched a button on the life maintenance system control. Boost it to 100% and expand the field to 13 meters. Catch. The droid did his command and the shiver that had gone through the X-Wing quit. Gavin smiled broadly. To avoid the wear and tear of gravity and inertia on the pilots and fighters, each X-Wing came with an initial compensator built into it. It allowed the X-Wings to perform very high-speed, high-inertial maneuvers without structural damage to the ship and physical damage to the pilot.
I love how they say that without any explanation of how any of it works, and that's how Star Wars is.
Because Star Wars. Yep. By expanding the area covered by this field by 13 meters, putting it out beyond the shields, the compensator treated the Yuuzhan gravity beams like anything else stressing the fighter. They're learning. Mm-hmm. Oh, let's see here. So they're basically kicking the coral skippers, pretty good here. However, suddenly a bright light flashed and the coral skipper disappeared from his rear screen. Who got it? Neve. What did we want to call him again?
Neville.
Yeah. Okay. Neville Longbottom. Locking on you and having you slip away must have tired it or confused it. It's interesting. I dropped a proton torpedo in.
The ship.
Yeah.
The ship was tired.
So basically, Neville took it out. Coral Duster. Okay.
Coral duster.
All right. So anyway, let's move on here. We've got Snoop back in here. Aston report. Good here, lead. I'm clear. Got it all, including the one that took 11 and 12. So they did lose some.
Yeah, they kill off pilots without any screen time, essentially. Like, they don't explain it very well.
I mean, the main thing here was to capture Gavin's sort of the strategy that they hoped to employ, but they did unfortunately wind up taking a couple of our squadron pilots here with them. Let's see here. Plotted a course would pass. Okay, so we had. Oh, okay. So here we go. He's he's tracking the killer coral skipper. Plotted a course that would pass behind it and kept adjusting to it, tightening the distance between without airing straight in at it. The coral skipper was intent on tracking one of the X-wings. Gavin identified the ship as belonging to Lieutenant Lig Panet, a Krish female who had just joined the squadron. The Krish were well known for the love of games.
We like games. Our race likes games.
What a random thing to put in here. You know what? The Krish, they like games. Would you like to play a game?
What kind of games? All games. Board games. Video games.
Oh, she managed to juke her ship around, making it hard to hit, but she still couldn't break away cleanly. 7, this is lead on the mark. Reverse I can't talk today. Reverse throttle, brake port. I can't talk anytime, I think. Lead, I can handle. What? Stay on target. Stay on target. This is an order 7 on my mark. Mark.
On my mark, Mark.
Lig reversed her thrust and rolled to the left, making it look as though she had just nudged her ship out of the Yuuzhan pilot's way. The coral skipper shot past her, then rolled out right and came up. The Yuuzhan ship nose came around, and the coral skipper lined up for a head-to-head run on Gavin's fighter, playing a little space chicken. That sent a jolt through Gavin. Cough break. Why would it do that? If it uses black holes to shield itself, it couldn't take down my shield, so its plasma shots won't get through. If it takes down my shields, I can dump a torpedo down its throat. Makes no sense.
Unless it's a one-way black hole.
Realizing that if he couldn't tell what the enemy was planning, going along with the enemy's plan was stupid. Wow.
Probably one of the most intellectual comments in this entire series.
Gavin triggered a burst of flickers. I really
More
don't.
flickers.
I'm really not sure if I like that. At the incoming target.
Quad up the flicker fly.
Flicker flyers. The cloud of red energy needles flew out, and as he expected, curved in together into the black hole the coral skipper had erected to protect itself. What he hadn't What?
Out of wood. He built it. He erected it out of wood.
Get out of here. Got his erector set out here. I don't even know if anybody remembers what the hell an erector set is. What he hadn't expected is that the void would intercept them that far forward. Gavin kicked his fighter into a snap roll to starboard, then jammed the throttle full. Sparks shot from the inertial compensator panel as the X-Wing grazed the edge of the black hole. So he actually grazed it.
Cat screamed. Wow.
There you go. And Gavin hugged the stick back to his chest. The X-Wing shuddered and engines whined, but his speed started dropping. I'm getting sucked into that thing. Gavin reversed throttle on his fighter, then ruddered the nose around to point to the black hole. The screaming engines fought the black hole's pull, but shuddered precious centimeter after centimeter to it. Surrendered. I said shuddered. Surrendered precious centimeters to it. He flicked the weapons control over to proton torpedoes and emptied his magazine of 6 into the black hole. One after one, the torps. I hate you. Oh, I hate you. Dude.
He flicked the torps at the coral.
He flicked some torps at a coral. The torpedoes. God, learn how to grammatic. Come on, Jesus. Dived in the gravitic anonymous. I'm really having a hard time with this English here. And somehow the black hole managed to contain the vast energy their explosions release, which isn't amazing.
It happened already.
Yeah. But Gavin noticed his rate of descent into the black hole slowed. So the energy momentum has been affected. He flicked his thrust forward. The fighter picked up speed, attracted by the black hole, and pushed by the engines. Then he pulled back on the stick and used the velocity he'd acquired to shoot past the black hole's edge. More sparks shot through the cockpit and his shields collapsed. His sensor screens blinked for a moment, then came back on full. But he couldn't see the coral skipper. Catch, where is it? Nevile's voice came through the comm speakers. Thanks for distracting it, lead. Seven Eye angled in and got it. Not a pretty kill, but a kill. So. He plays Space Chicken. He doesn't get sucked in. He kind of grazes it, loses his shields, was able to come back on.
Do you just kind of want to imagine it be like the Kraken scene from Solo? He's being pulled in by the Kraken.
Yeah. 7 angle. What?
Numbers.
Kraken.
The from the Kessel Run.
Oh, this. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I
were you having a brain fart there? Or
no.
what?
My initial thought was the war coordinator from Vector
Solo.
Prime. No, yeah, I mean that's what I thought because I was like, did he mean to say Vector Prime? Because we are talking about books here, but yeah, no, yeah.
The war coordinator is basically like the demon dog from Hellboy. I've already explained this. That's how I imagine it being.
I don't know about that. I always viewed it as a giant tangly squid because it's got a bunch of tentacles and like one Patrick Star tooth.
I think it has arms and legs.
And tentacles.
But I thought it.
I think you're nuts. You need to
I
go
could
back.
walk.
You need to listen to a reread. You know, I could recommend a podcast for a reread of Vector Prime.
Talking Tolkien.
Okay, so they get the killer coral skipper, as we've named it. Let's see here. Darth's voice came through the heavy with emotion. Lost 2 lead. The one that almost got you dropped that black hole on his tail as 11 was closing. Dinger flew into it and never knew what hit them. 12 got ripped up by it. Tick is extravehicular.
Yeah.
So he's not in his ship.
Yeah.
God.
Why is that how you
Negative
pronounce
life
that?
signs. I don't know. Do a tight flyby to check. We'll have the Rowroos recover him. Snoop, got any more skips in the area? Negative lead, but those hulks could be full of them. Copy that, Snoop. Reel in the pods and go back to the Admiral. Give him the data. Have him send someone back for us. As ordered, lead.
And then
May the
have some
Force
gin and joy.
be with
Gin
you.
and juice.
Yeah, why not?
Go, Snoop. Go have your gin and juice.
Anyway, so that's pretty much our chapter here. So our boys and girls here in Rogue Squadron have been doing a lot of simulations.
But clearly they haven't been learning English.
Well, that's the writer's fault. Michael Stackpool, my man. We got to talk someday. But they've learned some things that can be helpful, but they've also fell back on old mistakes. A lot of work. They only lost 2, but they only
fought 6.
Yeah. So against a fleet, they'd be screwed.
So basically what they just need is the Wonder Twins and Anakin to just fight all the battles synced up forever. Yeah.
Well, again, the biggest issue here is that these guys have been practicing with this. They've been studying. They've been going over data. They've been simulating, and this is the best that they could do right now.
And I wonder how long they've been training. Because obviously it's off the records.
Yeah, I don't think it's been like a terrible amount of time, but it's definitely been time. So they've got to get back to the drawing board, and they've got some good working pieces, but they have some stuff they need to figure out. So overall, your favorite chapter, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I always love dogfight chapters personally, but yeah.
Yeah, the ship stuff it can be kind of cool. It's definitely a lot better than walking around on a planet talking to dignitaries or something like that.
Or it's Danny.
Hey, Danny's cool.
But we'll deal with that in the next chapter.
Oh, goodness. So, yeah, folks, hopefully you enjoyed the reread here and our other extracurricular conversations.
I'm pretty sure, yes, the reread was shorter.
Reread was short. It was short.
Yeah. We talk more about Game of Thrones than Star Wars. Sorry, everyone,
care.
but it's our podcast.
It's
We do what
fine.
we want.
You guys can deal. You guys like it anyway. I know you do. There are people that listen. So
There's
anyway,
a person.
what's that?
There's a person.
Yeah, there's a few people. So, yes, thank you guys very much for stopping by. Again, hopefully you enjoyed everything. Again, leave us feedback wherever you can, and make sure that, depending on where you're listening to the podcast, leave us a review. If you're on iTunes, leave us that good old 5-star review. You can leave your negative reviews on YouTube if you want, or wherever
Yes,
you
'cause
find
no one looks
podcasts. And you know the rest. So, you guys have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force be with you.